speed. His GPS numbers are. He can flat run. If you make a mistake, you fit a gap wrong, you got 2-in-1 gap. We had that issue one time last year. Boom, touch. He can hit a home run.
Just in terms of, obviously, with Sonny coming over from there, when you look at their offense, is it similar-ish to what Sonny ran? Is it completely different? Is there an advantage to having a guy who used to be the OC there when just trying to plan against that offense?
Oh, that'll be, I'm sure a storyline in the media all week, and it really doesn't need to be. This game's about the players. It's about guys making plays out on the field. But certainly, he was a part of that offense for 7 years, so they're not going to just completely change. And so, I think you can see some things that are similar in ours to theirs. All that kind of stuff, that's a little bit of the game within the game, trying to figure it out during the week. But what it comes down to is, guys making tackles in open space, guys making the catch when it's a competitive catch. It comes down to blocking and tackling really on the field. It's not about the coaches.
I know it's still early in the year right now, and you mentioned the consistency TCU shows year in and year out, but right now currently ranked 9th in the Big 12 in defense, and that's usually a real strength of theirs in the conference. Why do you think that is right now? What have you seen that's been kind of a struggle for them in the first few games?
Well, first of all, I see a scheme on a defense that's very strong. It's time-tested. They have been, strong against the run. They're stingy against the pass. They've always got one extra DB, it seems like. Whether it's 3-on-2, it's 4 over 3. And they do a good job of pattern reading. And just schematically, they're very sound and they're very good. They've always got good players. As I look at them, the corners are good players. The 2 edge defenders, actually there's 3 now. I'm anticipating 11 being a little healthier. He played last week, but 32 and 98, those guys can get in the backfield. They can get on the edge of your tackles and make life tough for you. So that's those 2 guys you've got to contend with those 2 positions right there in that defense.
And Doug, and I know some schools will have a starter for a year or 2, maybe some will transfer out. Where have you seen the most growth and to have a consistency under a guy like that? I know you mentioned his running, but where have you seen his growth from the first time you've seen him to now?
I see more patience in the pocket. He can sit in there and let routes develop a little bit, and his accuracy seems like it's improved a little bit.
Me? Not to contradict Ryan here, but it looked like TCU got better defensively last week. How did you see them get better from SMU to Texas, especially after you guys had seen what Texas could do?
Yeah, first of all, we've both seen a future NFL back in Robinson, and he's hard for everybody to tackle. So wasn't just the Red Raiders. It's been everybody this season, and so I think that's a challenge, But you see those guys, and I know they've had a lot of injuries. So again, on that defense, you've got the strength of the defense, and it's not just in the people. To me, it's in the scheme and what Coach Patterson does and what he's done over time, and been very, very solid.
Blackout games at the Jones, night games seem to be where magic things seems to happen for the Red Raiders. How important is it for the fans to show up, and how important is it for the team to show up for such a big game?
Yeah, I think it's college football is a week-to-week deal, and we're coming off a big win. Now we get to come home. The challenge for us this week is to prepare and to practice with the same level of urgency and determination as we did last week, so we can go out Saturday night in the Jones, 6 o'clock, wearing throwback uniforms, all our fans wearing black, and create that magic. I think it goes hand in hand. It's like we've said since we've gotten here, it's we, us, and our. Our success is helped by the fans. I personally think that, again, they helped us win the SFA game when we hadn't played well for a while in that game, and really had that red zone stand there at the very end. That was huge. And that got us to the next week. And then, you keep going, and I think we'll look back at the end of the year and say, yeah, the Jones Stadium crowd helped us win that game. Will it help, time will tell over the next several home games. But so important for us to win at home, so important for us to be to defend the Jones and to play well here and to create that magic. I don't think it just shows up. I think fans create it. I think coaches can help the players create it. But we got to play well, and we want to play well, and that's certainly the goal this week. And so I hope that the fans will come out. I really think they will. I mean, why wouldn't they? What else is going on in Lubbock Saturday night? I mean, let's go, and Coolio's coming to town. I don't know if you knew that, but I mean, some of us in our generation kind of like the guy, and no, I think it'll be. I do. I think it'll be a great atmosphere, and our students will be loud, and they can be a difference maker.
Coach, just 2 penalties last week. How important was that to the victory? And then, in terms of just changing that stat, that's been a problem with this program for a long time, and your staff seems to have changed that around. How have y'all been able to do that?
Yeah, thanks, Jared. That's that's been kind of a personal deal right when we got here, is changing that. And really it focused on 2 things. It was greatly reducing, I don't want to say you'll ever eliminate it, pre-snap penalties, which are administrative, and it to me it points to your discipline, your mental toughness and your discipline, and then eliminating post-snap penalties. I think we've had 2 post-snap penalties this year. We had 1 our first year, couple last year. So if you look at the penalties the last 2.5 years, they've been greatly reduced here. And so the penalties that you can live with during a play, we address those, and you're going to live with some of those. So I think it just gives you a chance. I think it helps your chances of winning, obviously. But I think it, more than anything, I think it reflects on being a mentally tough and disciplined program, especially in those pre-snap penalties. And that was a big, your first part of your question, was it? And it absolutely was a big part of that game last week. We only had 1 pre-snap penalty on offense. We only had 2 altogether, if I'm not mistaken. I think we had a face mask, and it wasn't really blatant on defense.
And then you kind of spoke to the atmosphere you're expecting and everything, and I know every week is important, every game's important, but given the context of this game, 4-1 start, in-state, in-conference rival, night game at the Jones, just what kind of opportunity does this program have Saturday night?
Yeah, I think it's personal for a lot of people around here, a lot of fans. It's an in-state rivalry. You have guys that have played high school ball with each other on opposite sides, and high school rivalry games, again, now they're college rivalry games. I think those are all, intertwined when you play in Texas and you play in the Big 12, it seems like. And these games have a lot of meaning. They got a lot of emotion. And I know it's personal for a lot of people around here to play well. In the Jones, for me too. Our goal at the beginning of every year is going to be to go undefeated at home, because that helps you get to a great season, not a good season. And this is the 3rd game at home. It's round 3 of the Big 12. So yeah, I mean, every single game, every single weekend in this league is going to be very, very competitive and very, very important. And so this is the next one.
You kind of touched on part of it, but can you just describe the challenge the defense is going to have against TCU's rushing attack?
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about the rushing attack, you're talking about 2 people, 6 and 15. And those 2 guys can flat go. I mean, Zach Evans is elite. Physical, speed, elusiveness, really good. And then we already talked about Max and what he can do in either the Q run game or when plays break down. He's got the ability to hit a home run. So those 2 guys pose a real threat, for our run defense.
Matt, with Chadarius Townsend being out, who becomes your primary kickoff return man, since he's returned every kickoff this year? It looks
probably
like
Kalen Geiger.
Let's see, you've said he's out for the year, and you've said other guys are out for the year and long term and whatnot. Is there anybody that you're willing to say today is back for this week?
They're all day to day. Respect the question and the attempt.
Let's see. and you touched on it briefly on Saturday after the game, but the job that your young receivers did without Eric Ezukanma out there, how do you feel about the progress made by, Jerron Bradley and Trey Cleveland and all those guys?
Yeah, JB, Jerron Bradley, true freshman, Trey Cleveland, redshirt freshman, Loic, Fungi. All three of those guys played a huge role coming back and really dissecting the tape. They've got a lot to improve on. We can block better out on the perimeter. I know Coach Filani's got some things he wants to really clean up with those guys and their blocking and some of their route running. But the easiest thing to evaluate is, did they catch the ball or not? I mean, we can all evaluate that. And the other thing that I can evaluate as a head coach is it did not seem that the moment was too big to play on the road in a loud environment, 55,000 people. Morgantown's a really good environment, and that stadium's great. Those guys did not blink. And when the plays were there, I mean, Loic's catch on 3rd and 4, first play of the fourth quarter was huge, in tight press man against their starting corner. And that was big. JB had a big red zone catch, I think, on our second series. Second series on a skinny. Those guys came down with some big plays. So the moment was not too big. They were extremely competitive. They caught the ball well. There's still stuff for them to clean up.
All the plays that Kalen Geiger has made the last 3 weeks in particular, back-to-back 100-yard games, and then 7 catches, 82 yards, and the big catch on Saturday. You knew when he got here, obviously, he's caught 3,000 yards worth of passes in the last 4 years. What have you learned about him? Maybe that has he been exactly the same guy that you expected him to be, or have you learned something about him?
Well, Don, I mean, some of this in this day and age of recruiting, when you didn't recruit him on the front end, with the Zoom and the COVID, at least while we were recruiting him, when you say what didn't you expect, it was hard to know what to expect just when you talk about work ethic, personality, who he is, and all those kind of things. We knew what he was on the field and what he had done previously in junior college and at Troy. Probably the thing that I've grown to really respect and love about KG is the kind of teammate he is. He's a great teammate. If he doesn't catch the ball, you ought to watch him block. Y'all should go back and look at, I guess, TV copies. We don't give y'all coaches copies, but look at watch him block when he doesn't have the ball. The routes that he runs with other teammates are getting the ball, and he's equally as happy when they catch passes and balls. And he's been a great teammate. He's very mature, and he's a really good practice player. I mean, he practices his butt off. Those are all the things I think you hoped for, but you just don't know. And I respect him, and he's had a really good start to this year.
And as for who I'm curious how you determined who played center on Saturday. Out here in August, saw Weston Wright taking some snaps at center, and then you decided.
You didn't like my answer Sunday night in our Zoom.
I was in the air at 35,000 feet when you.
You didn't pass anything off to him. Putting our best 5 players on the field. And that was this week to move Berger to center and to move Ethan Card to right guard. And Weston, Berger played center half the spring. A ton. Weston did, Berger did, Franks did. We always have a lot of guys that play center. Can't ever have too many centers. We're only laughing because Carlos asked that question Sunday night. Yeah. You saw it on Twitter? Didn't like my answer, did you? You wanted to ask me again.
That's just called team unity at the AJ. Nice and connected.
On your way out, you're saying that, huh, Kelly?
Yeah. Absolutely no doubt about it. Just in terms of, one of the cool stories of the offseason was when you give some of those guys, put them on scholarship. And now Henry Teeter, not only on scholarship, but had that big 3rd down catch against West Virginia, had a catch against Texas. What's allowed him not only to get that scholarship, but now get some of those big snaps inside the red zone?
Just his work ethic, the way he shows up every day. He's moved himself into that number 3 tight end spot, which actually plays I don't know, dozen, 20 snaps a game, and he's playing on kickoff return. He's playing on field goal protection. That was a big catch for him. But very reliable blocker, tough, smart, and very sure-handed. A lot of things we can do with him, and he's West Texas tough. I mean, San Angelo, and this dude's smart. He's tough. He practices hard. He's a great teammate. Kind of everything that you want, epitomizes everything you want here with a guy in this program.
All right, Coach, you talked about it a little bit, but the fast start you guys were able to get at West Virginia, what do you think was kind of the key in that, and how can you keep that consistently going into this week?
My guess is the key was we just played off each other, and we used the momentum of a defensive stop and created a short field for our offense and then turned it into a touchdown. You know, the first defensive possession started at the -9, so it was like in a coming out area, and we got a 3 and out. Rico and Schooler both made a big tackle on third down on their back, and then we caused forced a punt, short punt, and had half the field to go, and we scored. And then Schooler's strip sack ignited the bench, and we played right off on that and got another touchdown. So the key to it was just literally not talking about it, not writing it down, not putting it on a board, stuff like that. Is literally our guys did it in the game, and they used the momentum to our advantage.
And then not to get too far ahead of us, but being 5-1 would obviously be a great start going to the rest of the season. How would that kind of set you guys up? Obviously, the goal is to win this game. But.
Yeah, the big thing is this is round 3. This is the third Big 12 game. We lost the first one, we won the second one. It's important to go, play well in front of our fans, and you got a very, very good TCU team. That's they're hungry, they're motivated, they're talented, and the last 2 years, they beat us the last 2 years. Certainly have been close games. Last year I know the score didn't look like it, but it was basically a 1-possession game there towards the end, and then it became a 2-possession game when we missed a field goal, but. The year before, I think, it came down to the very end. So, been 2 hard-fought games. And, they're a program, again, that we respect, and it's round 3.
Coach, you touched on it a little bit Sunday, but Henry's progression. Last year he did some good things, but in the spring he looked good, fall camp he looked good, and then so far he's looked good this season. What's allowed him to improve?
Oh, I think he's had a very open mind. He's been very coachable. I think he's taken to Sonny's coaching. Whether he fits this system a little bit better, I don't know, but he's played well in the 2 in the 2 games he's been in. He played well in the spring, even in closed scrimmages and closed practices. He played well in training camp, and that was a close fight, for that job that Tyler just ended up winning. But it doesn't surprise me because that's really what Henry's done. And so I just think, he's coachable, he's smart, he's courageous, he's got confidence in himself. And, when you do that, I think it kind of exudes confidence with those other 10 guys. And they have confidence in Henry. And so hopefully they play a little bit better around him.
We'll finish down with Ryan King on the front row.
Coach, I know obviously Srodrick's been back for a couple weeks now. Where has he? You see, like he's been more comfortable these last few weeks. Have you seen that growth that you wanted to see heading into this TCU game, and how he can be a real weapon? Yeah,
Srodrick's a really good back, and he's just working right back into the mix in terms of getting in shape and being a more of an every down back, doing a great job catching balls out of the backfield and blocking. Him and Xavier, have made they're a 1-2 punch now. Chad's out of the mix now, but those 2 guys will be who we rely on. But Srodrick's doing a good job.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Okay. Okay, thanks, guys. Girls.
Josh, I know Coach Wells mentioned you'd worked at center a little bit in the spring because of Dawson's injury. I guess how much did you work there, and when was the time that you kind of found out you were going to start at center that last week, and how much time did you have to kind of work on that?
So this past spring when I moved to guard, I started taking center reps too. So I did that for the spring, and then I did it probably like halfway through camp, and then they just had me kind of focus on guard for a little bit. And then this past Tuesday, they just kind of threw me in and ran with it. So
one of those things where it's like you block, or did you kind of have a little bit more to that made it a little bit more of a difficult learning curve for you?
Well, with center, we will call the pass protections. We have to ID and do that. So that's a little bit challenging on the run game. You kind of ID it a little bit too. And then we have the snap count as well. So a little bit of a learning curve. But I mean, it was really manageable. So
for you in the spring, was that the first time you had worked at center throughout your career? Because I think you've been a guard most of your career, right?
Tackle, and then I moved into guard, yeah. Other than sixth grade. Sixth grade, I had to play center because I was too big. That was the only position I was allowed to play. So, yeah.
Last one for me, in terms of TCU defense, I guess what challenges did they pose, especially with their defensive line?
A lot of line movement. They have two really exceptional DNs, 32 and 11. 32, I mean, he's a long, lengthy guy. He's really good. But yeah, just a lot of line movements, and that's what they do. That's their bread and butter.
Josh, for you playing that position of center that game, do you get into a flow at a certain point, and at what point did that kind of start to the wheels start to turn a little bit there?
Yeah, honestly, it was really just kind of from the first play on. In warm-ups, my first snap was rolled back. The second one went over the head. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh no. I'm like, this can't be happening right now. And then took my glove off and kind of just started going from there. But yeah, when I got in the game, I mean, it just kind of felt natural. I mean, it wasn't anything like, it was new, but it felt natural. So.
Did you have to apologize to any of the people who came and watched? You had like almost 20 people there to watch, and now you're playing a new position. How much are you like, oh God, like,
yeah,
no,
no,
up in front of my
yeah, no, it was cool. Obviously I had all those people there, and I mean, it was a big weekend for me, the new position. But yeah, I mean, it was good. They knew. I kind of was trying to keep it down low, low key. But my parents knew, and I told my friends, so they knew going in that I was going to play center. So I think they enjoyed getting to see it too.
Cool to be a captain for that game too.
Most definitely. I mean, just the fact. I mean, it was a big weekend for me, just in the sense of like new position. I was a captain. I had all my friends, and then most importantly, we came away with a win. So it was an awesome weekend.
For you guys, just in terms of that offensive start against a team that was really stingent in the red zone, you guys got 2 touchdowns on your first 2 red zone drives. Mm-hmm. What allowed you guys to be so successful in that area specifically?
I think we just came out and we started fast. Obviously, the first drive we had, I believe it was 3 first downs, and then obviously we had the interception. But I mean, we didn't flinch. We knew we could move the ball, and we went out there and we did it. I mean, so it's just the consistency, just going out, starting fast, and kind of staying along that. So.
And what separates Henry just in terms of his moxie and confidence? Because he seems to have he just has whatever it is.
Yeah, I think it's the Florida in him. He's just really poised and calm, and that's kind of the cool thing about him. He never freaks out. He's just kind of, I'm here to do my job, and that's cool. So he did a great job. I'm really proud of him. I think from last year to this year, I mean, I think he's just, completely elevated his game, and he's a different type of quarterback. So.
Hey, Josh, before the season, we talked about, Ethan, and that y'all were tight, and that you thought he was going to have a good year and a bright future and everything. How do you feel like he did at guard?
Yeah, Card's been. He did a great job on Saturday. He was another guy that obviously had to play a new position, including myself. He did really great. I'm really proud of him. He's definitely like the prototypical tackle. I mean, he's like 7'9" and But no, he did a great job. I mean, he stepped in and, you know, he did what he needed to do and he helped us win. So it was great. I was really happy for him.
And then for you personally, now you have on tape playing tackle, guard, and center. I mean, how does that help you potentially moving forward in your career?
Yeah, no, it's big. The fact that I got to put center out on film was huge because next level, that's probably where I'll have to be just due to my size. So it was really, it was nice because I could put that out on film, and then not only that, I had a pretty good game. So, putting that on film was good. So it's good. You know, a little Swiss Army knife. Don't be surprised if you see me at quarterback this week or tight end. You know, wherever they need me, I'll be there. So.
You mentioned Henry's sort of attitude, but when you see a new quarterback go in and get a Big 12 road win, does that sort of help the team gain some confidence in him going forward? Yeah, I mean, it's huge for our confidence. I think the fact that not only we had Henry at quarterback, but just kind of like a plethora of different guys at different roles and stepping up, it was just big. I think for the confidence and the momentum for our season, it was just really big for the guys to know, like, hey, we can go out on the road, we can win. So now we just have to do that at home. So. Then on that last drive to set up the game-winning field goal, it seemed like you guys had your best drive of the game in terms of running the ball. What sort of like went well or clicked to create that space up front and for Sir Roderick to have those big gains?
Honestly, I think it was just before the drive, we were just the whole offense was kind of on the sideline. We were just talking to each other. We just said, do your job. You don't have to be Superman. Just go out and do what you need to do. And obviously we did that. You know, KG had that huge catch. Sir Roderick had some nice runs, and the O-line was doing well. And obviously we would have liked to score a touchdown at the end of that, but, you know, it worked out well for us, so it was good.
Josh, just curious, West Virginia's defensive linemen have a great reputation, especially Stills and Mesidor. Knowing you're a playing center, how motivating a factor was that for you going into the game? And then after the game, what was kind of your evaluation of those guys?
Yeah, going in the game, I knew it was a pretty big deal because obviously center plays a pretty important role in our offense. Just again, like I said, in IDing the pass protections and a lot of the run, the way we run block. So yeah, it was added motivation. Like I knew that a lot of people were counting on me. I tried not to use that as like a pressure, but more of just like a, hey, like you got to step up and do your thing. And after the game, you know, I think I played pretty well. Obviously, there are some plays I wish I could have, you know, done something different or done a little better, but it was good. You know, so.
You said you took the glove off after you had a couple of bad snaps, so you went in barehanded the rest of the way?
Yeah, the pregame, I usually snap with a glove on, and then that wasn't working. They were kind of all over the place, and then I was like, all right, we got to take this off. So, and then I had my joints taped, and I had to rip all that off, and it was just one big mess, but ended up working out, so I was pretty happy.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you about the sixth grade center story.
Yeah.
So, were you over the weight limit, or what position did you want to play in sixth grade?
Well, I was definitely overweight. When I was in third grade, I had to play with kids that were in fifth and sixth grade because I was too big. And then I actually had to leave the youth league for Aurora, which is where I'm from, to go play for a private school. And then because they had a higher weight limit, and I didn't even make that, so I had to play center. And you know, it would have been offensive line. I mean, that's just kind of where I've been my whole life. And you know, like I said, I may be at tight end, I may be at quarterback this week, but you know, I'll probably be at O-line for the rest of my career.
So, how big a kid were you in third grade or sixth grade?
Third grade, I think I was wearing like size 9 shoes, and then I was probably I would have been like 130 pounds, and then I wish I would have kept that trend. I could have been about 6'6". I thought that's how big I was going to be, and then I hit high school and I just stopped growing. So, but yeah.
So, Josh, with Saraja coming back these last couple of weeks, specifically this last one, have you seen growth from him? I know you're around him for the last year plus or so. Where have you seen him since he's come back this time? Is he getting back to where he was pre-injury? Where have you seen those strides that he's taken?
Yeah, no, for sure. He's definitely back where he left off. I know coming back from the injury, sometimes it takes a little time to get back to where you were previously. So, he's been great. I know he wants to, get the ball a little more and keep running. So, as long as we keep doing that, keep blocking for him up front, we'll be good. He'll be racking up the yards, so it'll be good.
Last offensive play before the half, it was a field goal where you guys going to have to go, kind of emergency, so to speak. How much do y'all practice that, and how hectic is it just to kind of get something off like that?
Yeah, so we practice, we call it Bazooka field goal. So we practice it a lot. I mean, it's a weekly thing. We practice. We play. We do a lot of situational stuff, and that's one of them. And we do it. I mean, it's literally every week. So it was good that we executed it. We know we can do it. So if we ever have to, do it again, we know we can take care of it and do it.
Josh, talked about it a little bit on Columbia, just getting that win and how that gives you guys confidence. But just getting that first true road win under your belt, what did that kind of do for the team as a whole, and what's the, feel in the locker room going into this week?
Yeah, obviously it's big. Winning is hard regardless of who you're playing and where you're playing. And the fact that we went into West Virginia and beat a good West Virginia team, I mean, one that was, took it down to the end of the game with Oklahoma. Probably should have won the game, but it's just big. I mean, the confidence and the momentum, just for guys to know that, like, hey, we can win, we can do it. It's good, and the fact that we did it with a lot of people out is even better. I think it just shows like the resiliency of the team, and that next man up mentality. So it was really good. It was really good for the team.
All right, we'll let Josh go.
Appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Josh. Josh, what private school was it?
Seton. Yeah, it was some little middle school. I don't know. It worked out. I actually broke my finger. That was when, but congrats on the new job.
Rico, just in terms of that last defensive stand inside the red zone, what for you was the most impressive part of what you guys were able to accomplish on that drive?
I think for me it would probably be just staying together, playing the next play. We know that they kind of drove down the field a little bit, but we stayed together and we forced a field goal, which helped out significantly.
In terms of college football and just football in general, it seems like so many quarterbacks can run nowadays, more than even like 5 or 10 years ago. But for some reason, Max Duggan seems to have a different gear. What is it about him that makes him so successful in that area and so hard to tackle?
I mean, he's just a talented player, and then plus his coordinators previously in the past, Cumbie, he had schemed up a lot of things for him, and I mean, that's what you're supposed to do as an offensive coordinator and as knowing your talent that you have playing for you.
So Coach Wells talked about the fact that in the end it comes down to being a player's game, but do you go to Cumbie at all for tips on like, hey, this guy personnel, what does he do well? What are his weaknesses kind of thing in a game like this?
Yeah, most definitely. Coach Cumbie, he's cool with all of us. So I mean, we see him around all the time. We just chop it up with him. But for sure, I mean, knowing that he knows background information about him, knows what type of quarterback he is, it's good insight for us.
Rico, I'm curious, with you being a team leader after that game against Texas and all the adversity y'all faced, anything you could share about what the defense, what you guys said to each other to get ready and produce the effort you did in Morgantown?
I mean, honestly, I think as a defense, we knew that really wasn't our identity, and we came to the decision to not let that one game define us, and we just got back into the lab, made those corrections, and got with the coaches, got on film study, and just corrected those mistakes.
In terms of getting lined up, was there anything changed in that week? Because it seemed like obviously that was a huge improvement that y'all were able to get lined up.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big focus on throughout the week. Getting the call, getting your alignment, getting your eyes on your keys, and I think what we practiced really helped out during the game. Everybody got the call, got an alignment, and executed their assignment. So,
Coach Wells has talked about you being a coach on the field a few different times, and this hanging into this matchup. What do you say to the younger guys about a guy like Duggan and just the way they play?
I mean, for them, it's just preparation. Our preparation. We believe that you win the game throughout the week. How you prepare, my bad, and how you practice. I think we take practice very serious, and I think that's really just how you win a game on Saturday.
And for you guys in the linebacking car, I know you had Bijan earlier this year, but the threat of Zach Evans and Max Duggan in a game like this, what do you guys as a linebacking core, what semi-changes this week just to have that type of rushing attack from a couple guys?
I mean, I don't think a lot really changes. We just know who we are facing, who our opponent is, and I think our linebacking group is really excited for this challenge, especially since we had that bad game versus Texas. So I think everybody's really up for this challenge, and we're ready to play.
Rico, from the tape, what have you seen is TCU's, biggest threat on offense that you're preparing for?
I mean, most definitely their run game. They have Max Duggan, and then they also have Zach. They're both very talented, and they can make plays. So most likely them, and then we try to make teams one-dimensional. After we stop the run, we want them to try to beat us throughout the air.
And then coming off that win last week on the road, a lot of people out playing different positions. What does that say about your team as a whole and their identity?
We believe in each other, especially for all those players to be out, and we're praying for them, hoping they have a quick recovery. But this is a tight-knit team, even though a lot of players may have came from basically everywhere around the country. We bonded very well, and we believe in each other, and we know what we can accomplish.
Talk about that belief. How do you keep continuity in a defense when, like you mentioned, guys seem to be going down left and right, and you almost have to have that split second of you got about 2 minutes for that guy to get game ready and get into the game?
Honestly, it'd be throughout practice. We have that next man mentality throughout practice. We make sure everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing. Everybody's in extra film study so that when that situation does happen, it's nothing new. It's something that we've been prepared for.
And then for you guys, how do you think you as a defense respond? Was there that adrenaline that first half where you guys shut out West Virginia, where you guys kind of came and said, okay, we're going to show that maybe last Saturday was a good representation of who we are?
Yeah, and then also we talked about it all week. We all knew that Texas game wasn't really us as a defense, and we wanted to. Coach always talks about you're only as good as your last tape, so we had to make sure that everybody knew that we're not that team.
Obviously, you just talked about bouncing back from that Texas game, but was there anything in particular you were able to learn from that game, just in terms of what you did at West Virginia? Were you able to take stuff away from the Texas game and implement it?
Yeah, I mean, we moved around some of our scheme stuff. We knew that they hit us on a lot of runs to the boundary, so we moved around a little bit in that aspect. But other than that, we just came ready to play. We prepared very well throughout the week, and it showed on Saturday.
And then Colin Schooler obviously had a huge game with the 15 tackles and the strip sack. What are you seeing from him just playing next to him at the level he's playing at right now?
Oh, man, I've been seeing it for a while. He's a dog. And dogs are going to eat, so that's what he did. I mean, I expect a lot more from Colin. I see him in practice. I know what type of player he is. He's very smart, and he's athletic as well. He can play any of the linebacker positions, and I give him a lot of praise, honestly.
Rico, talk about the importance that the fans are going to have to things happen at the Jones in the dark
Yeah.
in October.
Yes, sir. You know, we're really excited for the fans. But, I mean, honestly, I think as a team, we have to bring our own energy because, you know, sometimes the fans might get quiet because they don't know what to expect. But as a team, we have to bring our own energy, and then that energy will reflect on the crowd.
Anything else for Rico? All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for